It's been a thundery, rainy day today, and the sun has been hidden behind the clouds the whole day, and it's really beginning to feel like autumn where I live, which seems pretty early, even for the UK. Today, I wanted to show you a great tincture to make on sleepy days like this. Wild lettuce is a wonderful plant to help with sleep, and it can also help reduce mild pain. If you're looking for other tinctures that are good for the darker, colder days, I've made a guide with I think over 10 recipes that are perfect for winter. They are tinctures that use berries and roots of plants that you should be able to forage at this time of year, like rose hips and elderberries, and it's designed for people who are complete beginners to tincture making. If you're interested in that, I'll leave a link in the description for you to check it out or purchase it. To make wild lettuce tincture, you can use fresh or dried wild lettuce. I live in a city and we don't have a car, which makes it a bit more challenging to get out and forage a variety of fresh plants. So there are some in the city that I do forage, but it's not a wide variety of plants. So for this tincture and for most of the tinctures I make at the moment, I'm going to use dried wild lettuce. If you do have access to unsprayed wild lettuce, you can harvest the leaves of the plant and then just wash them and pat them dry, and then use a knife or a food processor to break them down. We do this to expose as much of the plant to the alcohol as possible to get all of the beneficial compounds out of it. So I'm using dried leaves and they've already come broken down, so I'm going to fill my glass jar about a third of the way full with the dried leaves, and if you're using fresh, you'll fill it about 3/4 of the way full. And then cover the leaves with 80 proof alcohol. And if you're using fresh leaves, consider using a stronger alcohol to help offset the water content. Water in tinctures is what makes them spoil a bit more quickly, and so we want to always try to reduce how much water is in the jar when we're steeping our tincture. You can use a higher alcohol content to help offset water content that's in fresh plant material. Then add a little piece of parchment paper between your metal lid to prevent the lid from corroding if you're using a metal lid. Put the lid on and shake it really well. And normally you would leave this to sit in a cool, dark place for 8 weeks and try to shake it a few times a week. I'm doing this a bit faster to be able to show you the full process, but normally you would let this sit for 8 weeks. I'm going to let mine steep a little bit, and while I do that, I'm going to make a really simple bath salt mix. Thundery weather and rain always makes me want to have a bath, and so I'm going to mix some Epsom salt with dried lavender. You can also add essential oils to any sort of bath salt mix, but I don't have any, so I'm not going to add them right now, but I like to add lavender essential oil whenever I have it, or sage is nice, or lemon. going to strain off this tincture using cheesecloth, and I'm going to fold mine in half so it's doubled over to get a finer strain and remove all the smaller pieces. You can also use a coffee filter, it takes a bit longer, or you can use a tea strainer, just use what you have. Now I'm going to add it to my tincture bottle. I like using these ones because they have the dropper in the bottle, but you really can use any glass jar that you have, and then use a spoon to take a little bit out when you want to have some. I like to use about 2 droppers in tea before bed, and you can take a dropper full a few times a day to help with like headaches or other mild pain as well. It'll last a few years if you store it in a dark place like a pantry, away from direct sunlight. And that's it. It's a really simple process, and it's a great tincture to help with sleep. If you found this video helpful, make sure to subscribe to my channel and consider joining my newsletter. I send out 1 newsletter a week with simple tincture making tips and recipes, and there's a link for that down in the description as well. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll talk to you in my next video.